Hello, hello, hello. I am going to do more Fields of Mistria grind. Or grinding. Do more grind. Doesn't really make sense, does it? Oh, let me open my chat. Put it somewhere I'm less likely to miss it. I always forget to do that until I go live. Okay, there we go. And I don't know why I see this. Oh well. But hello. I also felt like no cam streaming today. I just kind of want to head empty farm, get my stuff done. I made some progress since last night because, of course, I played it on the couch this morning with dogs and stuff. What's this? Oh shit. Whoopsie. I saw there were like reward requests, which I didn't know was a thing. So that's my bad. That's me being a boomer. I'm a little bit old. Oh, I still have my music loud for myself from last night. Because I had to have it really loud whenever I played Fortnite. I don't know what was going on with my audio balance, but I had not perfected that. Or actually, it's that my volume for the game is quiet for me. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I was reacting like that was way more serious than it was, but sometimes it's just like that. Alright, let me sell this coffee. And start that. Did I already take care of my animals? It's 4 p.m. in game. I think that I did. I'm trying to do the mines now, primarily. Like, get through the mines. Oh, Saturday, though. It's the Saturday market. I lied. Oh, wait. What food was I supposed to cook? Golden duck mayonnaise is what someone wants, but I don't have enough golden eggs. Maybe there wasn't one ready. I only need to sell 2 more mine forageables. That's been, like, my main reason for working with the mines more. Me do that for myself. Okay. There we go. Oh my god, I didn't take my IEM cord in. It's always my IEMs that are messing with me whenever I think something's weird and fucked up. Do I want to have the... Nah, I usually play without the in-game music on. Let me also dump off this feed. Actually, first. That. And I cannot keep up with having enough feed right now. It's a problem. Maybe I have too many animals compared to what you're supposed to. I don't know. I also got some more decor stuff. So, like, I'm making paths now. Or I didn't get more decor stuff, but, like, I unlocked a further level thing of the mines. So now I'm working on adding these sprinklers. And then I restructured this. So I'll have, like, different crafting stuff in the center part. I'll probably move these. Or actually, I don't really want those down here. I'll probably put, like, decorative greenery and stuff in there. Let me go get the cooking challenge from the city dude this trip, this Saturday market. Heck? Oh. Okay, and these. Up, and it's up by the city hall is where the expansion to the Saturday market gets placed. They're the first one anyway. Golden cookies, easy. I know I have everything for that. That's so. I'm hungry. Nothing. Trying to buy some of these like decor recipes as well. Lovely cottage counter. Actually, I should save money on that for a sec, because actually maybe there's outdoor stuff, but otherwise I should save money because I want to expand my farm and stuff. That'll help it look nicer. Anything for outdoors? No. None of that is stuff I need. Just talk to everyone. I keep hearing my phone even though I know I muted it. There. Yes. Maybe you can relate coming from Adventures Guild. No, I was lucky I managed to avoid those. I've had that conversation and read it on stream before, so that's why I just clicked through it. But I clicked through a lot of the conversations, I'm gonna be so honest. I can't help it. But I'm aware, so I'm partially there in conquering my spamming through dialogue sometimes. It's just like a natural reflex, and it's so messed up as someone who loves writing. But whenever I have a goal in a game like this, and I'm working on it, I like definitely focus on that. Like I need to go get golden cookies, but then I'm like, ooh, I can take my girlfriend in the game on a date. So I want to progress that heart rating or whatever it's called. Golden cookie. One. I'll make two because then I'll sell one. And then maybe I'll be more likely to have an extra get dropped. We'll see. Nope. Oh wait, let me put away these fish too. Where are the rest of the fish? You can tell I'm in the middle of reorganizing because some of this stuff does not make any sense placement-wise. Yeah, I think. And there. I wonder when that star event thing is. Oh wait, yeah, they're all the way up here. Turn it. You managed to make golden cookies? I don't believe it. Let me try one. It's quite nice, actually. Yeah, my balls, bro. What's this? Mixing bowls. Ooh, big fish. Remember what I was saying about not getting distracted from my one true goal in this game? Games like this. That's a big fish. Animated snow globe. Animated bird fountain would be cute. Like, that would be cute in front of my greenhouse, but I can't afford that right now. What? I could go fast as fuck. I'm not gonna buy that right now. Wait. Yeah. That just does other random shit. Okay. I'm not buying the snake oil. But I could go so fast in the mines then. Buy that. Just want to get more recipes unlocked, which I think requires me to just buy this shit, even though I don't really care. Wall mirror. Display burgers. Yeah, like if I just... I feel like I can already craft some of this stuff, though. Just to buy all of this and see what happens. It might take me so long to consume all this stuff that I'll pass out in game. Let me just pick all of that up tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna pass out anyway. Dang it. Everyone else is awake. See, I could have made it if I didn't get stuck right there. It's so unfortunate for me. Okay. Oh. Good morning, Sadie. I was on my way over to tell you about tonight's Shooting Star Festival. It's a Mistrian tradition going back centuries, you know. The villagers gather around town with family and friends every year to watch the meteor shower that marks the end of summer. Better yet, viewing them with a romantic partner on the summit makes an ideal date. It's said that doing so will link your destinies together, just like the stars themselves. What do you think, Sadie? Is there someone special you want to watch the stars with? Yes. My girly friend. Wonderful. I thought that might be the case. To invite someone you're interested in, give them this star brooch. Per tradition, brooch. Of course, be sure this person already knows you well if you want to invite them on a date. Once they accept it, be sure to meet up with them from 8 o'clock p.m. onwards so you can go up to the summit together. Good luck, Sadie. Well, I'd better let you get back to your morning. See you later. Okay, Brev. I need to sell the extra, what's it called? Golden cookies. Oh, I don't have any room for this fish? What the heck? What's this? Oh, the mixing bowls. Well, I can put this in a decor chest. But where the heck am I gonna put this? I can move all of the greenery out of here, I guess. And have it be just fish. And then down in there. All that in there. Oh yeah, I have more animals to show you guys too. Oh, oh, that's why my chair's leaned back from trying to fit the puppy. Here. Oh my god, this takes so long. Oh, okay. New ducks? Or one of them grew up and then I had them like have more. Have another baby. Yeah, like I already need new feed or more feed. It's wild. I don't know. There we go. I should really organize my fruit trees better too. Fruits in spring. Do 2 of each, maybe? I'll see what trees are for sale in here right now too. Oh. Of each of those. Huh. Okay, I picked all those up. I need to give this star brooch to... Where's she at? And I have my fields ready too for the next season, which is gonna start. That's good. I feel like I didn't have enough milk last time I went to bake a bunch of stuff to sell, so I'm gonna grab that. You know what? I need to go to the carpenter and I need to buy the little mini mill for my farm. That's what I need. Doggy. I won't lie to you, Elsie. I could use a glass of wine. Juniper dear, you're among friends. I think you're going to like this one, Sadie. Ask her for some gossip. With a loved gift. Fish skewers. Okay. Yum. Stop. And then... Oh yeah, it was right there. Mini mill. Reduces all milling times to 0. Awesome. And then... Don't really need anything else. Home upgrade. Need this. Refined stone 50, hardwood 50, and then 40,000 gold. Okay. Here she is. Hard to believe how long we went without access to ingredients from the mines after the earthquake. Now mines forage is always in stock, and you're regularly finding exciting new ingredients too. I'm so happy that we've reconnected with that aspect of our culinary tradition, and it's been fun trying my hand at these old recipes again, like this one. Miner's mushroom stew. Yes. Invite to festival. Let's watch the stars together tonight, Sadie. I've been looking forward to it. Oh yeah. Forward to my trips into town. Us farmers gotta keep social. Oh yes. Okay. I wonder what kind of recipes will be at the next weekend, unless these kind of stop being new. Like, they stop having them in stock, just like with the clothing and everything. That'd be really annoying. And unfortunate for me. Oh, cute. I don't like that. I think this is cute. Oh, hey, Raph. Okay, thank you. Thanks for lurking. Hope you're doing alright. I'm gonna pick out where I want to put this. I think that would be cute, but then it's not centered with that. Maybe I don't want everything too centered. How about right there? Cute. Oh, now I can make all of this and it doesn't even take like a ton of time. Whoa, that is... Make like 35. Because 200 is a lot. I want to use all my eggs up. Okay, I have a lot of golden milk, I guess. 10 golden butter and then 10 cheese. I can make a ton of money off cooking the golden recipes. Hmm. 10 golden mayonnaise too. All the mayo. Wow, I didn't get any extras. What the heck? Okay. And what else? Pop this off. I need to pick out where I want to put the trees. I'll sell this mushroom stew. I change my playlist. Yeah. That. Consume this. I need to go have like the Gar festival stuff, but golden cheesecake. Hmm. I think that's what I want to make right now. Mackerel sushi. I've never made that, but that's fine. I'll make golden cheesecake. I make 7. Make 3. Ooh, that takes an hour and a half. I can't even do that right now. I could have like builds right there and right here. And then the trees could be over here. Wait, once I expand my farm, there'll be a little bridge. It'd be cute to have all the trees across the bridge. So I'll just save up these for now. These are weird in here. And I could probably sell a lot of items that I just kind of have stowed away too. The hot potato. Dang. Put these in here maybe. Then I could put these in here. We're gonna put these in mussels. Need more chests, I think. Put them in here, I guess. Doesn't really make sense, but put those in there. Now I'll have my character's little datey poo. Go to festival. We'll end the day. Which is why I tried to get everything done in advance. Cute. My wife. Okay, I have room for this picture. Now it's fall. This is when shit gets exciting. Hmm. And then that. All right. Seems like the greenhouse has to be like mostly to make like put the trees in. That would make the most sense, kinda. Because I realistically don't have an issue having enough crops, but maybe I'm just like super cracked at this game. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of a pro gamer. Let's live. Oh, you gave me blueberry jam? What the hell? Give me a Prezi? Eleven, 12. 20. I feel like I probably have some of these as seeds. Yet. Honestly, it feels like it must be impossible for me to check how much of something I have before I go all the way into town, but it'll be what it'll be. Okay. Definitely need to sell some stuff now because I am officially broke as fuck. And some of these. Tons of pumpkins. Okay. This has all my seeds in it. Need the pumpkins. I need rice. I need the wheat. That. And what else is fall? Winter. This is fall. Summer. Summer. Spring. Summer. Okay. I think that's all of it. Oh wait, I have cranberry seeds if I really want to grow it. And make at least one more of this. I could have it right here. I kind of want it to be symmetrical though. I'll do it over here. Oh yeah, I should line it up so it'll be like here. Do I have it right up against it like that though? No. I can't listen to this right now. I've heard it too many times. To craft one more of these sprinklers. Okay. There. I'm going to pick it up and just to make sure. Yep. All right. Seven, 8, 9. Okay. I could make some more seeds, to be honest. Let me do that. Those. What else? Garlic? Oh, my character's tired. Just from throwing seeds. I didn't even know that took, like, stamina. Oops. Cool. Oh, I guess I could put one of those in here too eventually. Wait a minute, this is the rare thing that I was missing, a fairy bee. That's what I need for legendary honey. Okay. I need to use this. Dang it. I need to use more legendary duck. Common. Who else is legendary? Biggest beetle. Do I have any more of that pheromone stored? Would be another question I have. Let me see. Yeah. Any... I do. Oh shit. Golden bristle. Yeah, I need to go buy feed. Or none of my shit will get fed tomorrow. Golden duck feather. Need another golden duck egg. And I have no money. Uh-oh. That is an issue. That is unfortunate. They're gonna go hungry one night. Oh wait, actually, I'll go around and break grass. Or cut grass. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting there are plants up here. Come on. Pond over here. What fish have I caught? Fishing and diving. Huh. Honestly, it has been a while since I looked in this thing. I have a lot of the stuff, but there's still a good amount left for me to discover, which is kind of nice. Oh yeah. We go to the inn. Last night was really special, Sadie. The stars were so beautiful, weren't they? Good item. You really pay attention, don't you? This is perfect. I love it. Just gonna spam click through these to increase my heart level with everyone in one go. Bow, bow, down, bow, bow, down. Bow, bow. Hmm. We have this because I can't remember which I needed. I'm pretty sure it was the large animal feed. So, ow, my back. I'll be grabbing that next, but. And teleport to my farm. Maybe just the ones on the inside didn't get fed. Okay, and then actually I really need to make sure that my ducks got fed. Okay, so most of, if not all of them, did get fed. Well, not all of them. Like 2 of them didn't. Leap. Okay. Now all my plants will get automatically watered. I wish my animal produced stuff would like automatically get connected too, but I guess then it'd be too easy. Walk. Oh god. They're trying to ask me on a date. Oops. Hello. What are you up to? Nice. Basically same. Right at my farm. You and my farming. Oops. Ugh. Bow, 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 bow. More of my animals. Oh my god. Need more animal feed still. What do I make feed in? Here, and then, what was that? Oh, oh, ash mushroom. Feed. Not miscellaneous. Plants, no. Be this one. Farming. Okay, so I can't craft it here. Just my little mill. I'm gonna have to go buy a bunch, but I don't have any money. What can I cook? For a ton of money right now. Fix those. Spend 3 hours making some cheesecake, some golden cheesecake. Oh, I could make a decent amount of Mont Blanc, what that's called. The rich chestnut flavor of this dessert is complemented by its unique texture. That's 630 gold. Ice cream 660. Make 12 of that. And then just sell all of this. And I'll be set. All of my animals are going to be pissed for one day. Oh, cheesecakes. Okay. Need a different eye sized IM like ear thingy. I don't know why I get stuck in my left ear. Maybe all my brainworms migrated to there. Okay. More grass. Oh, I should go to the deep woods. Teleport to the deep woods. That young carpenter, Bryce, recently ventured into the deep woods to gather fallen branches. He seems quite at ease in the depths of the forest and quite taken with the birds. He is able to feed them seed right out of his hand. I have begun leaving him bundles of timber so that he might have more freedom to enjoy his time among the trees. Cute. Oh. Sadie, I'm so glad you could make it. I was just taking a moment to soak in the atmosphere. Well, yeah, you're getting soaked within the atmosphere for sure. Have you seen the extra tall conifer trees that grow in this area? The rain, by the way. They are known as the guardians of the woods. Legends say that they offer protection, even after they fall, like this one arched above us. I used to come here to sit beneath and read before the earthquake. The big ground dick. There's just something so peaceful about this place. I'm glad that I can finally visit again. It's all thanks to you. Let's make the most of it, shall we? Oh god. The gentle rippling of the water, the sway in the branches. It's meditative in a way. Yeah? The scenery seems to clear my mind and leaves me with a sense of connection to the world around me. How about you, Sadie? I feel a sense of calm. I do as well. Looking at our reflections, I can't help but think of all the faces that have looked back from these waters over the years. My childhood self, my parents, and surely the many generations of Mistrians that came before us. In a way, it's like looking across time. There's just something mysterious about this place, I suppose. But here I am going on about the past again. I promised myself I wouldn't do that today. I just want to enjoy being in the moment. Come on, Sadie, let's continue our walk. Okay. This area is known as the Grove of Rest. These are the guardians of the woods I was telling you about. But these ones here have a special purpose. Sorry, I nearly dove into another history lesson. Please, go on. Oh, is it really okay? Well, these trees in particular are marked with memorial tablets. See the stone marker all the way up there? Throughout history, the people living here have always planted a tree when a member of the community passes on. A marker is inscribed and then attached to a new sapling. Over time, the marker is embraced by the tree as it grows, lifting the marker skyward. Legends say that it aids the ascension of the spirit into its next life. That must be why these trees are considered guardians. It's a sacred duty guiding a spirit between lifetimes. And besides, there's an unusually strong protective energy here, don't you think? What is it, Sadie? I sense something here? Oh shit, it's not a hard event? Is there like... Look, there's an opening in the trees. Oh my god, the Trussy. I'm going in. Oh shit. Another steel? Could it be? That. I can't believe it. It's the Dragonsworn armor. Both the uses and cuirass in the last two pieces of the set. I don't know. But how did you know this was hidden here? I felt pulled toward this site in a way that I can't quite explain. Don't give him credit. You have some incredible intuition, Sadie. I'm so impressed. Well done. Now, we better get this find over to the museum. First, let's wrap them up. Then what? No, wait. There's no need for us to rush off. Why don't we take a break first and just appreciate the moment? The hell? Oh. We're back under the peanuts. Thank you for today, Sadie. It's been incredible. The search for the Dragonsworn armor has been the adventure of a lifetime. To have someone to share this with, it means so much to me. Okay. At the same time, it's bittersweet, isn't it? The truth is, I don't want our adventure together to be over. Nonsense Island, you're my best friend. We'll keep on adventuring. Sadie, I'm so lucky to have a friend like you. And you're right. I'm sure the future will be full of new adventures. Come on, let's head back. We'll drop the armor over at the museum and then I'll walk you home. I want to go back in the deep woods because I needed food for my animals and dude totally took everything over. Now I also need to fish because I can't remember if I fished here last season of fall. Like if I had this during last fall. I said that's so fucking weird. If I fished here last season of fall. Loot. Fish. Fish. These flowers grow on hollowed ground. It would be best not to pick them. I went to pick them immediately. That is for the Dragonsworn. Didn't get moved. An ancient steel depicting a set of legendary armor. Okay, same thing about hollowed ground. Same thing about hollowed ground. Dragonsworn's memorial tablet rests high in the ancient tree. Okay. Okay. Yes. And yes. I watched him sleep. Teleport back to my farm. My little farm. I definitely did not get enough stuff to feed all my animals, so I will prioritize them based off wanting duck mayonnaise that's golden. I'll at least feed them. I think they're in here. Okay. We could have food. You. Okay. This bunny. And oh, I can't pass out in game again. Now I have the bed right by the front door, though. It's a lot easier to not pass out on the way to it. $23,000 in one night's not bad. My stomach is rumbling. Just eat after a stream. This. Open this up. Then fancy fancy. I need to take a break soon to switch my laundry too. I think it should have just about gotten done a second ago. If it's done. Need to go buy feed. Immediately. $100 of each will do. You decide on what you're gonna do yet? Ange. All that feed. I'm probably supposed to sell my less quality ducks or like animals as I level up. Is there anything I want to sell though? I get emotionally attached. It's so fucked up. They're just zeros and ones. They're just zeros and nap. Can't do it. Maybe one day, but not today. Not freaking today. I don't like where I have that. Need to move that. First, I gotta feed my animals. Oops. Alright, how do I grab half? Control. I remember. And then there should be 50 for each. Dang, that's really not a lot. Need that one. Huh. It feeds them in a weird order. Need that one. I'll try feeding like all of these ones too. I need more animal accessories too. This cow is definitely my favorite. Okay. Did I water in here? Yep. Okay. Now, let me cook some more. I don't remember if I've cooked a sushi platter. Oh, that used one fish. Like the only one I have left of it. I try to make sure I keep one of each, like, item for quests and stuff. make a few of those parts. I need to like make one of everything eventually, but it's been so long since I cooked certain things that I don't know if there's a way that I even track that. I haven't made mushroom rice before. Deluxe curry. Cute. Grilled cheese. Someone loves the grilled cheese or likes it. I think maybe it's just liked. Bam, 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 bam. Golden cookies. Maybe not. Ooh, but now this is offset in a way that isn't. Fuck. Oh well. I thought that was gonna be some super secret freaking bug. It was not. Honestly, I feel like I think I need 2 more horse ones because I can have them breed, and then I just need more feed. 32 of each. Honestly, I just want to make it so I don't have to pay attention to that for a bit and I can focus on mining. So I'm gonna max those out, basically. And even craft some of that into gold stuff so I can try to get gold duck eggs faster because I really need to do that quest with the golden mayonnaise. Actually, yeah, I'm going to do that. Oh, it's in the mill. Quality ultimate. Get 2 of it. Give it to 2 ducks. Oh my god, golden duck mayonnaise, I can make one. Never mind. Glad I didn't use any more of that stuff. More flour. $40. Man. Okay. Okay. I need half. Other half. Oops. Yep. Alright, and I will have... Oh, I can't hand feed them. Well, I'll just put it in here for now. I do need to have the horses breed though. I'm trying to get all the different color like options and variants of the animals too. A male horse. Okay. I'll give one to a stallion. They also go up in tier. Based off like the colorway and type they are. Which like, well, they go up in tier and then their new pattern kind of just helps mark that they're that. I don't know if they're different species of the items yet. I think the ducks are though. Different types. Like there's a mallard duck and then like a white duck and spotted duck. Like I think that's what they call them. I don't know. I don't know. I still put garlic in the fridge. I don't know if I've sold one of every food item yet. I know I did it for a lot of them. I did. I don't know if I did with the lava chestnut though. So we'll sell that. I'm kind of looking them over to see. I sold one of that. I got the tart recipe. What the heck? Have a random bug in there? Don't anything that I moved from over there. Maybe the lava chestnuts? That feels like it would fit over here with the other, like, nuts and seeds. And then a lot of the gold quality items I haven't sold just one of yet. I'm just gonna sell one of everything while I'm at it. Alright. Now I'll sleep. Drink up my drinky poo. Ah. Okay. Sleep. Wonder if that's a shield that goes on my character's back. That looked wild. It'd be cooler if I can just hang it on my wall. I don't want to look all like warrior-y. Now I just go around collecting items. Pretty freaking easy. Like with having put so much feed in. It's like a fishing rod. So I don't know if these stack. How that works. That works. Alright. And then this item, and then I will go mining. Don't need any of that. Honestly, the walnuts would maybe be nice, but eh. And it's not worth having to run all the way back. What's in here? A bunch of garbage. See what that stuff was. Crafting scroll champion's shield. A decorative bronze champion's shield, perfect for displaying on your wall. Oh fuck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yay, I can make it purple and silver. That looks so cute. Okay, I'll sell the plain one. Also, I'm gonna buy food here to take in the mine. Veggie sub. Ew. Or butter pasta. Sweet potato pie. Beet soup. There. That's a ton of shit to take with me. The story goes that he visited the deep woods one day and got lost after he strayed from his usual path. He wandered among dense trees for hours, searching for the path home. Finally, he came across some old ruins in a clearing. The sun was setting, so he decided to shelter there until the next day. That night, he dreamed of a huge sleeping dragon. It didn't speak to him, but it seemed to be pointing him home. The next morning, he walked in the direction the dragon had been facing and made it home safely. He named the inn after that dream dragon who saved him. Wow, do you think that really happened? I like to think so. Some of the forest around Mistria is so impenetrable. It really feels like anything could be out there. But it's been generations, so I'm sure the story has changed over the years. Even if it turns out it wasn't true, it's fun to think about, isn't it? Reach 10 heart levels with the villager that you are romancing. An achievement. Here we go. Reach 10 hearts with a romanceable villager that you are dating. Okay, it's called True Love. I wonder if I can propose soon. That'd be cool. Actually, I can take all this with me to the mines instead of doubling back and wasting time, because I can put it in that chest in there. That'll be good. I need this void stuff that I can now see, and so I can mine. It makes it like all of the levels you've been to before are kind of worth going to again. So that away and that away. And the golden mayonnaise and that. Put a 40. Oh. And then I also like remade my weapons and armor like a billion times. It was like 5 times each at least. And with that, I was able to go ahead and get this stuff. That makes it so my base stamina is increased by +4 for all of my armor. And then my tools like have a chance to drop stamina orbs. That's pretty nice. And I don't see any void stuff. Oop. Oh, I thought that would hit both. That's so satisfying. It feels like playing one of those pinball games where like, or no, it's not even pinball that has it like you're like a little baseball player. They're literally those little mini old games. Or your little baseball player. Or there's one that my dad has that I play with him that actually is fun as fuck. Where it's like, I don't know, it's little hockey players and you have to move and like control each of the little hockey players and swing for them. That shit's fun. I've had a couple years ago maybe. Maybe a few, I don't know, but it's nice. It's cute. Void Pearl. That's progress. Something new. I'm also working on getting caught up on House of the Dragon. I hadn't been watching this season. I think the season ended too, and I just hadn't watched. I kind of wanted to binge it. Dang it. I could have just gone the other way. That is so embarrassing. I feel like this game got loud as shit all of a sudden. Am I, like, imagining that? I guess I could do that. Where's the global one? So everything void related looks very purple and black and cool. It's very obvious when it's void stuff. I don't care about wood right now. That'll be cute. On we farm. I didn't know if fighting that would be more important for getting void stuff or not, so worth a shot. Oh, there's a void thing. Yes. Um. God, that was loud as shit. What the hell? What the hell? Sorry about that. But honestly, at least I have brittle bones and I'm autistic, so like the loud noise hitting my little eardrums makes me kind of even out with having been the one to do it. We went through that shit together. That or like maybe it's a my side monitoring thing where it just sounds wild all of a sudden and peaks. Creepy ass statue. I'll get rid of these and these. I'm pretty sure breaking crystals is important. Glowing crystal lamp sounds cute. Day for weekend thought. Ooh. I got void stuff from them. Really round prop. I haven't gotten in a while, so I was curious about that. Honestly, a good amount of void stuff was collected on this trip. What the heck? Oh, that thing fucked me. Dang it. Oh well. All my shit feeds itself now. All my water gets fed. Or I don't know what I was gonna say. All my plants get watered on their own now. Or automatically. So it can't go too bad. Oh. Something I've been meaning to talk to you about. I couldn't help but notice that you and Rena have become quite close as of late. I don't mean to make any assumptions, but I thought perhaps I would share this engagement ring recipe with you in case you're starting to think about marriage. Oh, bitch. Hell yeah. You can use an engagement ring to invite someone you are dating to discuss your future together. Uh, just keep in mind that discussing your future doesn't mean you need to go through with a proposal, you know? It's important to talk these things through before making a final decision. That's so sick to be the dialogue surrounding this in a game. And any like, oh my god, me playing this as a kid and this is my version of Harvest Moon and stuff, like Harvest Moon DS and all that. What the fuck? This shit would blow my mind. Imagine being a kid and you can get fucking gay married in the farming sim. That's so awesome. In any case, an engagement ring can be crafted at a blacksmithing station. Some of the required materials are a bit difficult to come by, but I've heard they can all be found in the mines. That shouldn't be an issue for one of your talent. Also, being able to be in a wheelchair in one of these fucking games would be great. And they'd be perfect. Look at the time. Look at the time. I'd better let you get on with your day. Good luck, Sadie. Thanks, Brev. Tutorial. Engagement proposals. Use the engagement ring recipe to unlock it, then craft one at a blacksmithing station. Sorry, my stomach was like rumbling, and you know whenever your stomach's rumbling and you feel like they're going to be able to hear it out of your mouth if you open that shit? At that moment. Anyway, back to the tutorial. Use the engagement ring to ask someone you're dating, at 10 hearts, to discuss your future together. You can choose to propose in this cutscene, or you can postpone the discussion for a later time. You can trigger the scene as many times as you like until you make your final decision and propose. By default, once you are engaged, any other romantic relationships will change to best friend status. You can change this behavior in the gameplay section of the settings at any time prior to getting engaged. Oh, cute. So you could be polyamorous and, like, all wear rings or whatever and live together? Cute. Oh my god, what a big moment. You guys are about to share a historic, life-altering moment together. I'm about to go get engaged. Hell yeah. Okay. What's the issue up here? Oh. I have no stone in here. Do that. These potatoes can go in here. And I want this crystal lamp out because that's cute. This looks ugly, by the way. I'm aware, but I really need to put, like, I need a bed that I can rotate. Okay. Wait, I should see if I can craft the ring immediately. Temporarily forgot that I moved that. If I need a mix of ore and I just used it all, that would be so silly. Okay. And I want miscellaneous. Oh, you know what? It has to be in the forge. Yeah, special. Dragon forged core. Uh-oh. And Mistral ingot. Okay. So I just basically need to keep grinding the mines. I've got everything I need. Too bad I didn't make it back in time. Got caught up in that fight. If I would have gone to bed on time, I probably would have gotten all this done during this day, but I don't think I'm gonna find everything I need, like advance far enough in the mines. I'm gonna try, but I'm not hopeful. Okay. I needed to take void things. Let me see. 5 of each thing. Got 4, 5, 2. Okay, I don't have enough. I'm actually very close to having enough though. So I think I will probably finish this within this game day. Might still be the next one though, because 2 p.m. start for mining is not a lot of time to get shit done in this game. Time really flies, especially in the mines. Maybe I need to be going to a further level. I don't know if the higher difficulty would make the spawn rates better for the higher level things or what. I really like just unlocked that and then saved and decided I would come no cam stream it. And I'm glad if I'm gonna be able to make a freaking ring and propose. Kind of a big deal in this game, I guess. Hopefully it means they can like help me with my work. I'm definitely in fields of Mistria using marriage as a means to acquire more labor. Oh my god. Honestly though, it's a woman, so if they're a woman, maybe I will not be doing that. If it was a man, maybe. But I'm also not gonna stop them if they like water the crops and shit, you know? If it makes them like feel fulfilled doing that, I won't complain. Oh! Rare stuff. Oh my god, I suck. Oh my god, I suck so bad. Wait, I'm actually correct though. I'm just letting it kill me at this point. Oh my god, I got one final hit in. Oh yeah, coming to this level I think was probably smarter. Just said the most not confident shit ever. I think maybe it possibly might be better. Unless it isn't. What? Oh my god. Yeah, coming down here was definitely smart. The drops are better. I don't know why I felt like I saw something. Maybe it was just the little flame, or I don't know. Or I don't know. That's what I said. I haven't gotten any void pearls. And that's an issue, because I for sure needed those. what? Maybe I'll try to get to the next. Oh, it's only 8:40 p.m. in this game right now. That's not bad. I thought the bell sound effect was midnight. The next level, as long as it has a lot of stuff in it, I'm gonna try something. This. I don't care about that right now, or that. Or that. Ooh. Dang it. Oh my god, worth it. Dang, that didn't go as far as I thought it would, but oh well. Need this. Nice. Okay, and that glass is better than getting this wood. I'll be doing that. I think I've just decided I'm gonna pass out. Yep. I decided, like, I had a choice. It was 2 seconds away. But I took care of all my shit before it went. So I could do this. Now I didn't get any void pearls. So that means I cannot propose today. Because I can't get to the next area. I guess I won't be doing that anyway because then I still have to mine the little materials. To make enough of that Mistral or whatever it's called. Oh, I keep thinking it's that. I think the decor does not need to be here. So that's what I'm gonna do to adjust this. I need to do this until chest. This is my hell. Do I already have the chest? Like, what is going on? Did I see wallpaper in here? I did. Okay. So now everything is in one spot. I can throw that over there. Come on. It's actually so fucked up. Where's the chest? Like, this isn't scientifically possible. Oh my god. I just have to go craft a new one. I can't do this. I'm actually gonna lose my mind. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but I can't even make it. Oh no. I shouldn't have tried to reorganize. That was a mistake. What are you up to, Tack? Oh yeah. I need to go. Okay, how am I gonna do this? Holy shit. This could go in here. Oh wait, those go in the... I don't have room for the pepper. That doesn't make sense. Maybe I should just sell some of this shit. I can't decide right now, so... What else can I put in here? Nothing. These are decorated ugly. Set that like that. Make it look like a little... What's this? No. That will not work out, actually. Bro, what happened to the freaking chest? There's no way. Oh, there's just gonna be a path of shit. If it's not in here, bro. Oh, I see it. Jesus. So the decor. Yeah. Where this thing is, that looks like a porta potty. Oops. Oh, it doesn't even fit there. Excellent. Lovely. Go there. No. Okay. Back along my little pathway of shit. Okay. Yeah. Not sure why I thought that would go different. Oh, shit. Oh my god, it wasn't even there. That it right there? No. It must be up here. Oh my god. It wasn't there either. Oh my god. What did I do to deserve any of this right now? I'm about to spend my whole day doing this. Oh my god. How? Like, where the fuck is the chest? I don't understand. This is so messed up. It. I craft another one. No, I bought those chests. Oh, fuck. I have to find these. Is it just a break once I broke it? Did I fuck it? Oops. Honestly. That went poorly. I think I fucked up. Yeah, like there's for sure not just a chest that I can't see. Look. Um, huh. Okay. Holy shit, the pain is almost over. What the hell? That feels like a uniquely me situation to have occurred. Oops. Actually, not sure why that was in there. A random chair. Um, okay. I got 1, 2, 3, 6 more in there. Those. I need to pick a different playlist. I'm not fucking with this one. Oh, I'm about to pass out. Game. Oh my god, I caught that right in time. Holy shit. I just wasted that whole day. Please tell me that wasn't a Saturday. I can't remember. Oh, Raina. Hey, Sadie. Do you have a minute? I wanted to remind you that the Harvest Festival is coming up again. There's going to be a big community feast for everyone to enjoy, and I'll be running the outdoor kitchen for the event again this year. I hope we can count on your help again. Of course, I love collecting queen berries. Thanks, Sadie. Any queen berries that you can collect over the next few days would be a huge help. There's even prizes for whoever collects the most. Thanks, Sadie. With your help, I know this will be the best Harvest Festival yet. I still have a relic. That away. And I might be able to harvest some of this. Oh, thanks for the resub tag. 13 months is wild. Man, I'm old. Yay, but also... Holy shit. The fact that a year can go by the way it does now, the way time kind of shifts with you when you age, is so fucking weird. What's that? Wheatberry. Oh, yeah, for the festival. Already forgot. Okay. I also need to actually take care of my animals today. I feel like I'm 9,000 fucking years old. I feel like so much time has passed since my 20s, but of course, like, we're the same people, so we feel the same because we are. Everything else just gets kind of different. I feel old as shit. I'm tired. Weird Legion. Is that the one that's after the apocalypse? I'm forgetting what that's from. Legion, the movie that's based off of Angels. Okay, so it's not the apocalypse. I remember the cover now. There's like a bald dude with wings on the front. There's someone with a buzz cut, isn't there? It is an apocalypse? Oh, okay, well then yeah. What I was gonna say was just that if I fucking live and there's an apocalypse, put me the fuck down. Like a dog. I'm good. Let me rest. And you can see everybody get raptured up while you just look at it. Bro, imagine. They're like, ha, we were right, you fucking something. I was gonna say something related to disability, just to make it clear that I wasn't about to say some fucked up shit. I was about to be taking my power back. I'm not allowed that here. Need to go to the mine. Yeah. Nice. Die. Thank you so much. more that I think about it, I don't know if I'd want to be put down for the apocalypse. I feel like it's hard to know until you're there in like a rough moment. And I feel like ick about saying that. Better than getting eaten alive by a demon. Yeah. There's just like too many ways that someone's world can end, you know? So I think like, I'm not sure. But zombies wise, I'd probably say, yeah, take me the fuck out. Just for zombies. Because I would not be built in a way where I could kill anyone. I would get ate up. Ew, if I was gonna get ate by do zombies eat the bones too, Tack? You watch and play a lot of zombie stuff. Not particularly, but do they? Or do you just not know? I'm saying in like all the shows and movies and stuff with zombies. Do they eat the bones too, or are there always the bones left over? Basically, I'm trying to decide if I would be uniquely needing to be like deboned by zombies because of my rods in my long bones. I was trying to do that mental math, like, would I be kind of like a corn dog and everyone else is a glizzy? Bro, imagine being a corn dog in a world of glizzies. Of hot dogs, that's pretty sick. Me at 30 years old, imagine being a corn dog in a world of glizzies. What the fuck, bro? Dark times. Okay. Get rid of that. Obsidian fence. Huh. That's a good find as well. Give to this, because I don't think I've thrown that at this before. I have. Or it just hates it, because that loot sucked. Anything special? Oh, that's where I came from. That's embarrassing. Dang it. Yeah, I made it that time. What the hell? It's so fucked up. Don't care about that. Or those. That. Okay. Okay. That. What are you doing, Tech? Oh shit. Okay, I need to go into here. And this is the place where I have to put the stuff. So I need to come back with more of all of these. Oh, I have to do it all at one time. Okay. Lesson learned. Like 40 of those. I guess that's the one good of mining so much too, though, is that I do just need stone to craft pretty basic things. 25. Jack, do you have Fortnite installed? Teleport. Honestly, pretty solid in game day. I really need to pee too, so I will be right back. I'm gonna run use the restroom. Go ahead and take a break, stretch, move around. Get water if you need to. Oh my god. I have to find a new earbud thing. It can't keep coming off every time I take my thing off, because then I have to dig in my damn ear. Wow. Okay, I will be right back. There. Okay. Ah. Back to Fortnite. Do you have Fortnite installed? Tried to talk while I was yawning. Sounded horrific. Oh, you should update it. We could play Fortnite sometime soon, since clearly we won't be able to today. Ow. Like, hurts. I sat in a weird position, I think. There we go. Yes. Golden rabbit hole. Mine forageables. Did I still need to sell more of that actually? Hold up. Two more. That that counts. That counts. How many more did I need? Oh, easy. Hopefully. Neat. Onion. Garlic, which I put inside. I don't remember what I put honeycomb into. I should have put it in here, I think. Maybe I'll move it. I feel like that'd be a good idea. The heck? Sometimes I just find the most random shit in these chests. Onto the mine. What the hell? The fact that I just went nonverbal for a minute. Song's good. The mining's good. What can I say? I didn't realize I could go like that. Dang it. I was just so stubborn for a sec. I wish I had my little, like, dragon power thingy. Would be pretty nice. I was getting absolutely destroyed, so I just locked in so hard. A diamond. Oops. Eh. obsidian floor lamp. That looks fancy. Oh shit. I was only 8 in game. Every time I think it's midnight. And I get a moment of, oh fuck, you know? Thinking I'm about to pass out. Game is so good. Really can't say it enough. Holy shit. Considering like the loot that I have already. Not taking into consideration. Whichever. I think catching stuff. Oh shit. I fucked up and I noticed the minute that I cast my mind. That sucks. Oh fucking thank God. I'm blessed. Now what the fuck do I throw away? I'll eat the sandwich. Hold on. Kind of a waste of stamina, actually. Like, of potential stamina, I mean. I did not need to eat yet. That was my impulse control going at freaking bye-bye. Back, you should install Fortnite. Maybe we could play Fortnite before I end stream today. If you want. Because at first I didn't think I would want to, but I feel like I wouldn't mind it. If you want. If you don't want to, though, I'm fine with that too. I could even play it alone. I keep feeling like weird about doing no cam streams and feeling bad, but then it's like, I don't know, I just thought about it and decided I deserve to be sick and still be visible and exist. Like, fuck it. So, I'm gonna do what I can to accommodate myself, but still feels a little bit like, dang. Jeez. Did I find the way down already? No. This is a good mine run. Like everything is pretty good that I collected. Red obsidian, fuck it. Honestly, coming mining more is getting me a lot of berries. Oh shit, I'm gonna pass out in the mine. Fuck it. Me fighting just nothingness for the last few seconds. Need to grab another drink. Oh. Eventually. Maybe I'll heat up my burrito. I overslept. Do I think I have enough now? Where do I put this? Breath of Flame. Here. Oh yeah. This is so satisfying. Oh, pumpkin. Oh, onion. I hate that all of the faux items, though, like, sit on a tablet kind of thing. A chunk of, like, cement. It's really weird. Whoops. Ah. Uh-oh, their crystal's gone. They have food. Yeah. There. Go back in here. Nice. Here. Already been in here. Dang. Having a moment. Then I needed to go in this one next. Oh. Unfortunate. I feel like I just had a little mind wipe. That was nice. Okay. Now I think I have enough of all of the void stuff. 3, 4, 5. 5. 5. 5. Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens. I don't care about giving one of each to there first. I'm gonna do this first, and then I'll be able to still keep discovering them, I guess. I love the little peace sign every time you teleport. So cute. Ooh. I see that you have succeeded in gathering all the necessary materials. Excellent work. This is everything we need in order to create the void mass. Let us proceed. Beautiful, is it not? Now, it is time to create our decoy. Stand back if you would. I shall transform the void mass. Into our void, Sadie. Fear not, the void Sadie is merely a tool, a means to an end. It is not capable of thinking nor feeling. It is kind of a shadow. It can only move at your instruction. What the fuck? We shall utilize it to open the ruin seal without risking harm to you. This feels unethical. Oh, it's just a holograph. Come, let us return at once. The hell? Would you sacrifice your shadow to get into a cool dungeon? Because I'm probably about to. It's time to put our decoy to the test. If you would please instruct the Void Sadie to take the rubbing of the ruined seal tablet. The rubbing? Is it? I'm getting overstimulated by my hair right now. I'm gonna put my hair in a bun quick. Like having my hair longer and the weight. Runes tablet. Rubbing. Dungeon. There we go. I'm grateful that we did not attempt to have you try that directly. Would you not agree? Wild. Now, about the translation. What is it? The witch speak. I can read it, or I guess I won't need a translator after all. Did she call it witch speak? I guess I won't need a translator after all. I can't tell if that's, like, rude. Oh my, that's so? It would seem that your proficiency in magic has grown quite significantly. Tell me, what are the requirements? Oh, I have all of those things. I see. A breath of flame, a smoke moth, a fire sailfish, and a piece of obsidian. I presume this task should be no trouble for one of your talents. However, you will not be able to offer these items to the rune's seal tablet directly. Instead, be sure to give them to the Void Sadie. Once the items are gathered, it will open the seal for us. Okay. Best of luck with your task. I shall wait something because I clicked without meaning to. Oopsie. Teleport to my farm. Cute. One of my aunts and uncles is at some golf tournament. Got pictures of them. My dad's seen them on TV. That's cute. Okay. Sorry, that was like a random amount of text where I had to look. Let me see. Oh my god, I keep forgetting. There we go. So I need that one special fish and something else and some... The mind forgeables were wrong before. Oh my god. Breath of Flame, Fire Sailfish, Obsidian, and Smoke Moth. I know that I just put that one thing in here. The fire thing. Breath of Flame. Smoke Moth. Obsidian. One obsidian, one fire sailfish. Fire sail. One obsidian. Is that all of it? That's easy. Yep. That thing that takes the most time is running back and forth, which, I mean, I guess that's a lot of farming sims. Or all of them, to be honest. It's about managing the, like, travel time. If you were a little farmer going back and, you know, back and forth to town and shit, it would take a minute, too. Yes. Immersion, along with my dragon powers and magic. Okay. Take these, shadow me. You have succeeded once again. It's the priestess. I see that the Void Sadie now holds the necessary offerings. Let us keep our distance while you direct it to break the seal. Okay. Okie dokie. Go on, no reason to worry. You are safe. Come on, Briv. The priestess lied? Is Shadow Me gonna be a evil dragon that I will then have to defeat? It will escape into the void. Whoa. Holy shit, flashing lights. Ah, well done, Void Sadie. Damn, that's fucked up, you meanie. Why would you lie? Thank you for fulfilling your purpose. Why, like, would you lie to your shadow if you were also sacrificing it to open, like, a dragon age, dragon powerful magical seal to get into a void? Thank you for fulfilling your purpose. And thank you as well. You have succeeded in breaking the ruined seal. Be sure to proceed with caution. And remember, we must not burden Lord Calderus with news of these events. This last chapter of the journey, we shall see it through together. I shall stand by you in Lord Calderus' stead until the final seal is broken. I just feel sussed out, but she looks cool. Or they look cool. Go forth now. We shall meet again in the ruins below. The time of the dragon's full awakening draws near. Ooh, an achievement. Opened the ruin seal. Breaking that. And now I permanently increased my health. Dark floors. Deep in the ruins underground, floors are shrouded in darkness. The radius of your light will get bigger with each piece of Mistral armor that you forge and equip. Some floors will have crystal lights that you can hit to illuminate the whole room. Void Eye. Okay. Whoa, this is wild. This gets kind of like survival horror game design looking. Whoa, this is so cute. Oh my god, this is so cool. Yeah, I love this game, man. It's so sick. I need to look more into the developers. I'm definitely interested in any of their future— oh my god, of their future projects. Mistral ore. Oh hell yeah. I need that. I'm scared. It makes you hit that one at a time. It's a different mechanic than I've encountered before. I guess maybe when I get like a Mistral axe or whatever, a pickaxe, then it'll let me. Guess I could do that. I realized I could just be sitting there for forever. I should just change the area that's lit up before I cast a line in here. Okay. That was actually kind of wild. Hmm. Well, oh, dang it. Harvest Festival. I did get a ton of those berries, so. Hardened acid. Skip the cutscene because it's just them saying they're coming for the berries. And then I give them the berries, and she leaves. Mm. Crafted stuff out, maybe. What do I? Oh, yeah. Not cosmetic. What's this? Rock stack hat? I'm ready to see what this looks like. What the fuck? Why would I ever? Yeah, those can stay on. Do I have a different shirt yet? What was I wearing before? This. And I think it's just gonna stay like that. At one point I got this and wore this, but I think not having buns makes the other work better. The bangs kind of look weird with this hair, or like earring thing. Something about the bangs. That looks wild too. I look like I got a huge head. That just makes my head look so round. Which is fine, but just with my outfit doesn't really meet like the neckline and stuff. Which one did I have before? I should not have messed with it. Ew. Crap, which hair did I have? Was it wavy long fringe and I just got used to it that whole time? I'm about to pull up my own past VOD and see what hair I had. The mental issues that are here have to be studied. Not anytime soon, maybe like post me being dead as shit, but like it's just my channel. Here we go. Oh, this is how my hair was. I'm just so... Oh my god. Okay. No visual memory debuff. Okay. What was I doing? Void stuff. Need to give one of that to the museum. Don't have a pearl to give it. Yeah, that's basically my focus now. Running the mines again and again. Now that I've got all the Mistral shit unlocked. I like that area of it. Oh, my animals. Shit. I do need to check on those, and then the mine. Just gotta collect all my stuff. Okay. Dang it. Oh, golden bristle. I just don't have a stack of that in there yet. Already forgot where I put that. I don't know if that's important right now. I want to grab the item right now. Yet. I just need another pearl to give the museum. So we'll see. Where the heck? Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna need a better sword. Pretty early into this. I could have a hat that's a book. Wait. I have a... Bruh. That looks disgusting. Why is it so big? Bro, I literally look like a house. Oh no. Oh. 1 sec, sorry, I'm stretching. The whole upper part of my spine just popped. In like a non-dangerous way. That felt good. The book looks fucking horrible. It's not happening. Because I have to live like this. There's already so much suffering in this game. If it would have been like a little sling of books that I could strap across my chest, you know, and have the books kind of off my back, that would be cute. Like carrying shit Hobbit style. But... any fish? Nope. Oh, void cat hat? Now that has to be cute. Perfect Mistria ore. Huh. Ow, sorry, my hand hurts from clicking so much. Perfect pink diamond. Ethereal grass. Huh. Getting a lot of new stuff. This. I have some soju. Oh, cute crab. Luminescent crab, a common medium ruins crustacean. This crab's unusual glow is likely due to the mistral particles in the ruin's sediment. Cute. Ooh. Needed that. Oh, that doesn't even work here. Okay. Oh yeah, the big rock doesn't even take damage like that. Oh my god. Tag if you're still in here, I guess. Anyone. The pictures so far. So, why was it saying it like that? That caught in my throat. The pictures so far of Juafalo's wedding are so pretty. They're so good. They're so nice. Like sweet, you know? Good. It's very cute. Not that one. This one. I like this. Juafalo's wedding pictures that she's posted so far. Her partner, her husband. They're really cute. They're good. They're good and they're cute and they're just happy. It's really cool. leave this on for now. Do I have a different cape? Hmm. I'm just gonna leave that for now. I'm gonna figure something else out, but dang it. Damn it. Oh, there's a chest right there too. Oh crap. Okay. I'm gonna be done. It's been about 3.5 hours of just menu tech. Good night.